Can you? I want to talk. We want to talk about obviously Roosevelt today. We did another episode more specifically on specific aspects of Roosevelt, and we think he's endlessly fascinating. So while I was interested in how he sort of encompasses that age, but I also am wondering, can you define what progressive meant at that time? Because I know a lot of people can look at sort of progressive in different eras and it might mean different things. So sort of what that meant. And then would you say that, Teddy Roosevelt or Theodore, he didn't like to be called Teddy, we were told, Theodore Roosevelt sort of, you know, either encompasses that era or, how he fits into it.
Okay, so there's easy questions or easy answers to these questions, and then there's like the deep dive. I'm going to start with the easy ones to get it out of the way.
Perfect.
You're right. He didn't like to be called Teddy. His childhood nickname was Teedy.
Teedy, okay.
Right, which is not many people know that, I guess. Theodore or TR. He was the first president to use initials.
Okay.
So that's interesting. Progressive, again, if we think about progressive today, we have a pretty good sense of what it means back then too, which is no idea. I can tell you what Theodore Roosevelt thought progressive was, but when I kind of try and go beyond the individual and try and classify it for the nation, the movement, whatever we want to call that thing, the progressive movement, it's so hard because the bedfellows are so unusual. You've got eugenicists in bed with abolitionists. You've got, so it's a really diverse set of people and ideas. Roosevelt is a progressive in the sense that, let me start off with his father. His father is a philanthropist and a progressive. His father co-founds things like the American Museum of Natural History in New York. He creates the orthopedic hospital in New York. So he actually helps the newsboys with their labor dispute. And TR, the son of Theodore Roosevelt Sr., sees this and decides that he wants to adopt that, basically when he gives up natural history after he leaves Harvard. And he goes into politics, and he sees progressivism as civil service reform, which is the least sexy political issue ever. It's basically about trying to put federal employees through examinations to make sure that they're it's not just a merit spoils based system.
Sure.
And so he gets into that, and that sort of is then into other anti-corruption efficiency measures. And that's his progressivism to start. But gradually he sees that industrial capitalism, and what I mean by that is that, the factory system, the new economy based on this industrialization has brought all of the corruption and inefficiencies to Washington and into the economy. And so he starts tackling anti-competitive practices in business. He starts taking on consumer protection as a champion of consumer protection. And then later on in life, by the time we get to the progressive presidential run in 1912, we're talking about things like women's suffrage and direct democracy, i.e. voting for senators rather than having legislatures appoint them. So it starts off as civil service reform, but then it becomes much, much more than that by the time the rest of the country is thinking big.
Hope you liked the video you just saw. If you do, please like it and subscribe to the channel. It helps something called an algorithm. If you want to check out more content, check out our podcast highlights playlist for some goodies. And if you really want to help us out, check out our Patreon. The link's in the description. Thanks so much.